It is, of course, 2,000 and 1,000 Guineas weekend here at Newmarket, sponsored by QIPCO. The Fillies Classic is particularly interesting. I was anxious to catch up with Lord Teddy Grimthorpe, representative of Prince Khalid Abdullah, owner, of course, of favourite Hot Snap, and also David Redvers. He is the racing manager to Sheikh Fahad Al Thani, sponsor of the two races and owner of Just the Judge, another leading candidate. Simon Clare of Coral also joined me to give me the latest market moves on both races. Lord Grimthorpe, Hot Snap represents Prince Khalid and Henry Cecil, of course, in the 1,000 Guineas, sponsored by QIPCO. Very impressive winner of the Nell Gwyn on just her second racecourse start.
Yes, she showed her inexperience in the race. Really took a long time for the sort of penny to drop about what was required, and of course, having come from just a Kempton polytrack maiden to step up to a serious classic trial like that was big field at a big straight course like Newmarket. Obviously she's only just come across the road, but the way she really settled, when she settled into her stride and got moving, she was very impressive indeed.
And I'm told you watched the race in Prince Khalid's box and that your early thoughts weren't really that encouraging.
Well, I was watching it in the box on the television because obviously you can see everything that goes on in theory, and I was a bit worried about halfway stage that maybe she was going to go out of screen the wrong way, and so I jumped out into the front to watch it there. So I think that that gave us a lot of encouragement. She was still quite backward in her coat. Obviously, you've got a £3 turnaround with Sky Lantern, who's been a very smart filly. But I think our inexperience certainly told there, and I would hope in the end, I mean, she was going away from Richard Hannon's filly, so I would hope that we would be able to confirm that form, really.
David, Sheikh Fahad is represented by Just the Judge in the QIPCO 1,000 Guineas. Talk us through her progress this spring.
She's been a revelation, really. She's done fantastically well. She's a big scopy filly. She was very woolly in her coat when she came here for the Craven day to have her racecourse gallop, but did it very nicely. She's since shed her coat beautifully. She looks really well. Saw her on Saturday morning. Jamie Spencer rode her. The work she's been doing shows exactly what we know, that she's well above average. How good she is this year, well, we'll have to see on Sunday, but I'm pretty confident.
It's reported last year that Charlie Hills was never quite 100% happy with her. From what you're saying, he seems to be now.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real debate as to whether or not she should even run in the Rockville. So for her to be so dominant in that race, having had a number of setbacks and gone in her coat, was even more impressive. As it is so far, touch wood, she's had a clear preparation here. It was always their decision to go to the race without a prep run. She's so far had no setbacks. She looks fantastic. She'll be the physical walking around the paddock that will be making everybody go wow, I can assure you.
Simon Clare of Coral, Dawn Approach has been favourite all winter for the QIPCO 2,000 Guineas. I believe that you think that status might now be under threat, though, from the Craven winner Toronado.
Well, up until a couple of weeks ago, it was all about Dawn Approach. He was a short price favourite since last year. He was the top 2-year-old. All the money over the winter was for him. But then we saw Toronado win the Craven in spectacular fashion, really. It was only a small field, but he couldn't have done it any better. But more than that, really, it was the bullishness of connections after the race. Richard Hughes spoke really glowingly about how good he thought this horse was. Then the trainer himself said, whatever beats him will win. And that's continued really right the way up to the present day. He's shortened in the betting. The confidence is there. And I think on Saturday there may be money for Dawn Approach, but I think Toronado is going to be very well backed. It'll be potentially 7-4 each of two. It's not inconceivable. Toronado could even go off favourite.
There's a different shape and makeup to your 1,000 Guineas market. Tell us about that.
Well, the 1,000 Guineas has been wide open all winter. It was 6-1 the field up until a couple of weeks ago. Then we had the Nell Gwyn. It looked a really competitive Nell Gwyn numerically and in terms of quality, but Hot Snap couldn't have been more impressive. Now, she was 10-1 to win the Nell Gwyn, so she wasn't exactly expected that day. She's now a very short price favourite to win the 1,000 Guineas. I still think Sky Lantern may still have an each-way squeak. She was giving Hot Snap some weight away, so you can see Sky Lantern shortening the betting, particularly with that man Richard Hughes on board, and particularly if Toronado was to win the Guineas the previous day. But apart apart from that, you know, you've got What's Her Name from France. I think she may shorten, but it's still a very open 1,000 guineas. Very different from the 2,000 guineas. So there's still scope for maybe a couple more to shorten in the betting.